Imagine a European city where endless golden beaches meet peaceful forests, where elegant spas have welcomed visitors for nearly 2 centuries, and where colorful wooden houses stand beside medieval streets that have witnessed wars, empires, and remarkable change. Now imagine that despite all this beauty, most travelers have never even heard its name. Hidden along the coast of the Baltic Sea lies a place many locals simply call Estonia's summer capital. Every year, when the long northern winter finally gives way to sunshine, this quiet city transforms into one of the happiest places in Northern Europe. Its beaches fill with laughter. Cafes spill onto the sidewalks. Sailboats glide across calm waters. Music echoes through ancient streets, and thousands of visitors arrive searching for something they didn't even know they were missing. This is Pärnu. But behind its peaceful atmosphere is a story far older than the beach umbrellas and seaside resorts. It is a story of medieval merchants, powerful kingdoms, devastating wars, remarkable survival, and a community that refused to lose its identity. How did this small coastal town become one of the Baltic region's most beloved destinations? Why do Estonians treasure it so deeply? And why might Pärnu be one of Europe's greatest hidden gems? Today, we're uncovering the fascinating history, breathtaking landscapes, unforgettable culture, and quiet magic of a city that proves you don't need crowds or skyscrapers to leave a lasting impression. Welcome to Pärnu. Let's begin. To understand Pärnu, you first need to understand Estonia itself. Tucked away in northern Europe, Estonia sits on the eastern coast of the Baltic Sea. It shares borders with Latvia to the south and Russia to the east, while Finland lies just across the Gulf of Finland to the north. Although Estonia is one of Europe's smaller countries, it is famous for its pristine forests, thousands of islands, innovative technology, and deep connection to nature. About halfway down Estonia's western coastline lies Pärnu. At first glance, it seems almost too peaceful. Wide beaches stretch for miles. Rivers wind gently through the city before flowing into the Baltic Sea. Parks, tree-lined streets, and historic buildings create an atmosphere that feels both relaxed and timeless. Unlike many European destinations overwhelmed by tourists, Pärnu has managed to preserve its calm character. Life moves at a comfortable pace. People cycle instead of rushing through traffic. Families gather in parks, while locals enjoy slow evenings watching the sunset over the sea. Yet don't mistake its quiet appearance for a lack of importance. For centuries, this location made Pärnu a valuable trading port connecting northern Europe with the rest of the Baltic region. Merchants, sailors, soldiers, and kings all recognized its strategic position long before tourists ever arrived. The sea that now brings vacationers once brought armies, merchants, and powerful empires. And that history would shape the city forever. Long before colorful cafes, luxury spas, and summer festivals defined Pärnu, this coastline was home to small communities of fishermen and traders. The Pärnu River offered something incredibly valuable in the medieval world, a safe route from inland forests to the Baltic Sea. Timber, furs, honey, wax, and grain could all be transported downstream and shipped to distant markets. Even before a city existed here, people understood the importance of this location. During the 13th century, Northern Europe was undergoing dramatic change. Christian crusading orders were expanding into the eastern Baltic, bringing not only religion but also new systems of government, trade, and military power. In 1251, a settlement known as Old Pärnu received town rights. It was a significant milestone, marking the beginning of organized urban life in the region. But the town's future was anything but secure. Old Pärnu soon found itself caught in regional conflicts. Rival powers competed for influence, and the settlement was repeatedly threatened. Eventually, attention shifted to a new, more defensible location nearby. By the late 13th century, a new town had begun to rise where modern Pärnu stands today. Strong walls surrounded it. Towers watched over the approaches. Gates controlled who entered and who left. The new settlement was designed not just to survive, but to thrive. Its streets filled with craftsmen, merchants, sailors, and families looking for opportunity on the Baltic coast. What began as a strategic relocation would become the foundation of one of Estonia's most enduring cities. The people of Pärnu had learned an early lesson: survival often meant adapting to change. As Pärnu entered the late Middle Ages, its fortunes began to rise. The city joined the Hanseatic League, a vast alliance of merchant towns that stretched across northern Europe. From ports in present-day Germany to Scandinavia and the Baltic states, this network dominated trade for centuries. Membership brought opportunity. Ships arrived carrying salt, fine cloth, metal goods, and luxury items from distant lands. They departed loaded with timber from Estonia's forests, grain from fertile fields, flax, animal furs, and other valuable products. The harbor became the heartbeat of the city. Imagine the scene: wooden sailing ships rocking gently at the docks, sailors shouting in different languages, merchants negotiating prices, blacksmiths hammering iron, and market squares alive with activity from sunrise to sunset. Pärnu was no longer just a small coastal settlement. It had become an important stop on one of medieval Europe's busiest trading routes. Trade also brought new ideas. Architectural styles spread from Western Europe. Skilled craftsmen introduced new techniques. Religious institutions expanded, and the city's cultural life became increasingly diverse. But prosperity came at a price. Success attracted attention, and Pärnu's strategic location made it valuable not only to merchants but also to ambitious rulers. Powerful kingdoms and empires looked toward the Baltic coast with growing interest. For the people living behind Pärnu's protective walls, peace could never be taken for granted. The city had become richer than ever before. Now it had to defend that prosperity. For centuries, Pärnu stood at the crossroads of ambition. Its harbor was valuable. Its location was strategic. And in Europe, places like this rarely remained peaceful for long. Beginning in the 16th century, the Baltic region became the stage for a series of brutal conflicts. Powerful kingdoms, including Sweden, Poland, Lithuania, Russia, and Denmark, competed for control of trade routes, ports, and territory. Caught in the middle was Pärnu. The city's thick walls and defensive towers, once symbols of security, were repeatedly tested. Armies marched through its streets. Cannons thundered against its fortifications. Each new ruler brought different laws, languages, and expectations. For ordinary people, survival became part of daily life. Families rebuilt homes destroyed by war. Merchants struggled to keep trade alive despite uncertainty. Farmers worked the land knowing that another conflict could arrive without warning. Yet Pärnu endured. One of the city's most significant periods came under Swedish rule during the 17th century, often remembered in Estonia as a time of reforms and development. Schools expanded, administration became more organized, and improvements were made to strengthen the city's defenses. But peace was never permanent. At the beginning of the 18th century, the Great Northern War swept across the region. The conflict reshaped northern Europe, and Pärnu once again became a battlefield. Disease, famine, and destruction followed in the wake of the fighting. When the war ended, the city came under the rule of the Russian Empire. Another chapter had closed. Another had just begun. Despite generations of hardship, the people of Pärnu refused to abandon their city. Every invasion left scars, but it also strengthened their determination to rebuild. By the early 19th century, Europe was changing. The age of massive stone fortresses was fading, and cities across the continent were beginning to reinvent themselves. Pärnu was no exception. Its defensive walls, once essential for survival, gradually lost their military importance. Parts of the old fortifications were removed, opening space for parks, tree-lined avenues, and elegant public buildings. Then came an idea that would transform the city's future. In 1838, one of Estonia's first bathing establishments opened in Pärnu. At the time, doctors across Europe believed that seawater, fresh air, mineral-rich mud, and therapeutic baths could improve health and well-being. People traveled long distances seeking these natural treatments. Pärnu was perfectly positioned to meet that demand. Its shallow coastline warmed quickly in summer. Gentle sea breezes carried clean, salty air. Nearby mud deposits were believed to have healing properties for aching joints and tired muscles. Word spread quickly. Visitors who first came for medical treatments often stayed because they fell in love with the peaceful atmosphere. Hotels appeared. Guesthouses expanded. Beautiful wooden villas were built along leafy streets. Soon, wealthy families from across the Russian Empire were spending their summers in Pärnu, escaping the heat of larger cities in search of fresh air and relaxation. The city's identity was quietly changing. No longer known primarily for soldiers and merchants, Pärnu was becoming a destination for rest, health, and happiness. A reputation that continues to this day. If there is one place that captures the spirit of Pärnu, it's the beach. Stretching for miles along the calm waters of the Baltic Sea, Pärnu Beach is more than just a beautiful coastline, it's the heart of the city. Every summer, something remarkable happens. As the long, dark Nordic winter fades away, the city seems to wake up almost overnight. The streets grow livelier. Outdoor cafes fill with conversation. Ice cream stands reopen. Cyclists cruise along the waterfront, and families spread colorful blankets across the warm sand. For many Estonians, summer doesn't truly begin until they arrive in Pärnu. One reason the beach is so popular is its unique geography. The water remains shallow for a long distance from the shore, allowing the sun to warm it more quickly than in many other parts of the Baltic Sea. Children can safely splash in the gentle waves, while adults enjoy long walks through the calm water. By afternoon, the beach is alive with activity. Friends gather for volleyball games. Paddleboarders glide across the sea. Sailboats drift on the horizon, while the sound of laughter mixes with the calls of seabirds overhead. But Pärnu's beach is about more than recreation. It's a place where generations of families have made memories together. Grandparents bring grandchildren to the same stretches of sand they visited decades earlier. Couples watch the sunset hand in hand. Locals and visitors alike slow down, breathe deeply, and simply enjoy the moment. In a world that often feels rushed, Pärnu offers something increasingly rare, the chance to pause. And perhaps that's the city's greatest luxury. Long before wellness became a global trend, Pärnu had already built its reputation as a place of healing. Its spa tradition dates back to the early 1800s, when visitors arrived seeking the therapeutic benefits of the sea, fresh coastal air, and mineral-rich mud. What began as medical treatment gradually evolved into a lifestyle centered on relaxation and well-being. Today, that tradition continues. Across the city, modern spa hotels stand alongside historic bathhouses, offering everything from saunas and hydrotherapy pools to massages and beauty treatments. Many still use natural mud from the nearby coastline, believed to help ease joint pain and improve circulation. But the true magic of Pärnu isn't found in any single treatment. It's the atmosphere. Here, wellness isn't rushed or commercialized. It's woven into daily life. People stroll through leafy parks, cycle along quiet streets, enjoy peaceful moments by the sea, and take time to reconnect with nature. Even in the busiest weeks of summer, Pärnu never feels overwhelming. The city seems designed to encourage slower living, a reminder that rest is not a luxury but a necessity. Visitors often arrive expecting a pleasant seaside vacation. They leave feeling refreshed in ways they didn't anticipate. Perhaps that's why so many return year after year. Not because they have to, but because Pärnu has a quiet way of making people feel at home. Pärnu may be famous for its beaches, but step just beyond the city, and another world begins to unfold. This is a landscape shaped not by skyscrapers or highways, but by rivers, forests, wetlands, and the quiet rhythm of nature. The Pärnu River, one of Estonia's longest rivers, flows gently through the city before reaching the Baltic Sea. For centuries, it served as a lifeline for trade and travel. Today, it offers a different kind of journey. Kayakers paddle along its calm waters, anglers cast their lines in peaceful silence, and locals gather along the riverbanks to enjoy the changing colors of the sunset. Surrounding the city are vast forests that seem to stretch endlessly. Estonia is one of the greenest countries in Europe, with forests covering more than half of its land. These woodlands are home to elk, wild boar, foxes, lynxes, and even the elusive brown bear, though sightings are rare. In late summer and early autumn, many families head into the forest with baskets in hand. Mushroom and berry picking is more than a hobby here, it's a cherished tradition passed down through generations. Just outside Pärnu lies a network of protected wetlands and coastal meadows, where migratory birds stop during their long journeys across Europe. Birdwatchers travel from around the world to witness thousands of geese, swans, cranes, and other species filling the skies during spring and autumn migrations. Nature in Pärnu isn't something separate from daily life. It's part of the city's identity. Whether you're walking beneath towering pine trees, listening to waves roll onto the shore, or watching birds soar above quiet marshes, you're reminded that some of life's greatest experiences require nothing more than slowing down. Most people think of Pärnu as a summer destination. And it's easy to see why. From June through August, the city is alive with sunshine, music, outdoor dining, and visitors enjoying the warm Baltic coast. Parks burst into color, festivals fill the streets, and the beach becomes the center of daily life. But summer tells only part of Pärnu's story. When autumn arrives, the crowds begin to fade. Leaves turn brilliant shades of gold, orange, and crimson, carpeting the city's quiet streets and riverside paths. The crisp air makes long walks even more enjoyable, while cafes become cozy places to escape with a warm drink. Then comes winter. Snow blankets rooftops, trees sparkle with frost, and the city takes on an almost fairy tale atmosphere. Holiday lights illuminate the streets, and the peaceful silence of winter replaces the lively sounds of summer. For many locals, this is when Pärnu feels most magical. The spas become especially inviting during the colder months. Imagine stepping into a warm sauna while snow falls gently outside, a tradition deeply rooted in Northern European culture. Finally, spring arrives. As the ice melts and daylight stretches longer each evening, nature awakens once again. Birds return from their migrations, flowers bloom in the parks, and anticipation builds for another unforgettable summer. Every season reveals a different side of Pärnu. It isn't a city that shines only for a few months each year. Instead, it changes gracefully with the rhythm of nature, offering visitors a new experience every time they return. Perhaps that's why so many people find themselves coming back, not to repeat the same trip, but to discover a different version of the same beautiful city. The best way to discover Pärnu isn't from a tour bus or behind the window of a car. It's on foot. Leave the beach behind and wander into the city's historic center, where every street seems to tell a different story. Unlike some European cities filled with towering landmarks and endless crowds, Pärnu's old town is modest, peaceful, and welcoming. Its charm comes not from grand palaces but from the feeling that history is still part of everyday life. Colorful wooden houses stand beside elegant stone buildings, reflecting centuries of changing architectural styles. Small boutiques, family-owned cafes, and art galleries occupy buildings that have watched generations come and go. One of the city's most recognizable landmarks is the Tallinn Gate. Built in the 17th century during Swedish rule, it is the only surviving gate from Pärnu's old fortress. Centuries ago, soldiers marched through this gateway to defend the city. Today, visitors pass beneath its arch on their way to parks, beaches, and quiet riverside walks, a powerful reminder of how dramatically Pärnu has changed. Nearby stands the beautiful Elizabeth Church, completed in the 18th century. Known for its elegant simplicity and remarkable acoustics, it continues to host concerts that fill the historic space with music. As you continue exploring, you'll notice that Pärnu never feels like an outdoor museum frozen in time. Children ride bicycles through its streets. Locals greet one another by name. Fresh flowers decorate windowsills. History isn't locked behind glass here. It's woven into everyday life, quietly connecting the past with the present. Some of Pärnu's greatest treasures don't appear on postcards. They're found in the quiet moments. A narrow lane lined with centuries-old trees. A tiny bakery where the aroma of fresh bread drifts onto the street each morning. A peaceful riverside bench where locals gather simply to watch the boats pass. These are the places that reveal the city's true character. Pärnu is filled with public parks that invite people to slow down. In summer, musicians perform beneath open skies while families enjoy picnics on the grass. In autumn, golden leaves transform these same parks into peaceful retreats perfect for an afternoon stroll. Art is another part of everyday life here. Sculptures appear unexpectedly along sidewalks, galleries showcase the work of Estonian artists, and cultural events bring creativity into public spaces throughout the year. The city's cafe culture also deserves attention. Rather than rushing through meals, people take time to sit, talk, and enjoy the moment. Outdoor terraces fill with conversation as locals and visitors alike embrace the slower pace that defines life in Pärnu. Perhaps that's why so many travelers leave with the same feeling. They can't always explain exactly what made the city special. It wasn't one monument. Or one beach. Or one restaurant. It was the atmosphere. The sense that life here moves at a human pace, where simple pleasures still matter and where the greatest luxury is having the time to enjoy them. In a world obsessed with doing more, Pärnu quietly reminds us of the value of doing less, and appreciating it more. Every city has a flavor. In Pärnu, that flavor is shaped by the sea, the forests, and the changing seasons. Thanks to its location on the Baltic coast, fresh fish has long been a part of local life. For generations, fishermen have brought in their daily catch, supplying homes and restaurants with fish that often reaches the table just hours after leaving the water. One of the joys of visiting Pärnu is discovering how simple ingredients are transformed into memorable meals. Fresh potatoes, rye bread, seasonal vegetables, mushrooms gathered from nearby forests, and locally grown berries all play an important role in Estonian cooking. During the summer months, outdoor cafes become some of the city's busiest gathering places. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee drifts through the streets as visitors relax with pastries, cakes, and traditional desserts while watching the world go by. But food in Pärnu is about more than taste. It's about bringing people together. Families gather for long meals after a day at the beach. Friends celebrate warm evenings on restaurant terraces overlooking the river. Visitors from around the world discover that some of their favorite travel memories are created not at famous landmarks, but around a shared table. The city's food scene has also evolved in recent years. Alongside traditional Estonian recipes, talented chefs now blend local ingredients with international influences, creating modern dishes that honor the region's culinary heritage while embracing new ideas. In Pärnu, every meal tells a story, one of tradition, community, and the close relationship between people and nature. For much of the year, Pärnu is peaceful. But when summer arrives, the city transforms into one of Estonia's most vibrant cultural destinations. Concerts echo through parks and public squares. Street performers entertain passers-by. Local artists display their work, while musicians fill warm evenings with melodies that drift across the waterfront. One of the highlights of the season is the Pärnu Music Festival, an internationally recognized event that attracts world-class musicians and audiences from across Europe. Classical performances take place in beautiful venues, proving that even a relatively small city can host events of global significance. Throughout the summer, markets offer handmade crafts, local foods, and traditional products that celebrate Estonia's rich cultural heritage. Visitors have the chance to meet artisans, learn about centuries-old traditions, and take home pieces of the country's craftsmanship. Community plays a central role in these celebrations. Unlike massive festivals where people can feel anonymous, Pärnu's events have an intimate atmosphere. Neighbors greet one another, families attend together, and visitors are welcomed as if they belong. As daylight lingers late into the northern evening, restaurants and cafes remain busy. Couples stroll along the promenade, children laugh in the parks, and the city glows beneath the soft light of a Baltic sunset. It's easy to understand why so many Estonians choose to spend their summers here. Pärnu isn't simply a place to visit. It's a place to experience. A place where music, food, nature, and community come together to create memories that stay with people long after the vacation ends. There are cities that impress you with towering skylines. There are cities that overwhelm you with famous landmarks. And then there are places like Pärnu. Places that quietly find their way into your heart. Ask anyone who has spent time here, and you'll notice something interesting. They rarely talk about just one attraction. Instead, they describe a feeling. The feeling of watching the sunrise over the Baltic Sea while the beach is still silent. The feeling of cycling beneath tall pine trees with nothing but birdsong in the background. The feeling of wandering through peaceful streets where history and modern life exist side by side. Pärnu doesn't demand your attention. It earns it. Perhaps that's why so many visitors return again and again. Each trip reveals something new, a hidden cafe, a quiet riverside path, a conversation with a friendly local, or simply another unforgettable sunset over the sea. In today's fast-moving world, destinations often compete to be bigger, louder, and more exciting. Pärnu takes the opposite approach. It reminds us that happiness can be found in simple moments, sharing a meal with loved ones, listening to waves roll onto the shore, or taking a slow walk with nowhere in particular to be. Its greatest attraction isn't a building or a monument. It's peace. And sometimes, peace is the most valuable experience a traveler can discover. For those willing to venture beyond Europe's most crowded tourist destinations, Pärnu offers something increasingly rare, a chance to truly slow down and reconnect with what matters most. From medieval merchants navigating the Baltic Sea to families relaxing on sunlit beaches, Pärnu has lived many lives. It has survived wars, changing empires, economic hardship, and centuries of transformation. Yet through it all, the city has never lost its character. Today, Pärnu stands as a reminder that not every remarkable destination is famous around the world. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries are the ones hidden just beyond the spotlight. Its beaches invite you to slow down. Its forests encourage you to reconnect with nature. Its historic streets whisper stories of resilience, while its cafes, parks, and waterfront remind us that life doesn't always have to move at full speed. Perhaps that's why Pärnu leaves such a lasting impression. Not because it's trying to impress you, but because it simply stays true to itself. In a world filled with noise, Pärnu offers quiet. In a world obsessed with speed, it offers patience. And in a world constantly chasing the next big thing, it reminds us that beauty often exists in the places we least expect. So, if you ever find yourself exploring Northern Europe, consider taking a different path. Skip the crowded landmarks for a while. Follow the coastline of the Baltic Sea. Walk through the Tallinn Gate. Watch the sunset from the beach. Listen to the waves. You might discover that one of Europe's most unforgettable destinations isn't the one everyone talks about. It's the one waiting quietly for you in Western Estonia. And that is the timeless beauty of Pärnu. If you enjoyed exploring the hidden beauty of Pärnu with us, don't keep this incredible destination a secret. Give this video a thumbs up if it inspired you to discover more of Europe's hidden gems. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our next documentary, where we'll uncover another fascinating place, culture, or forgotten story from around the world. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever visited Estonia, or is Pärnu now on your travel bucket list? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one, and your suggestions often inspire our next adventure. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember. Sometimes, the world's greatest treasures are the ones most people never think to look for. See you in the next documentary.